There comes a time in every smartphone manufacturer's life that they need to make the big jump. They need to get out of that small customer base that they have. They need to make themselves known to the outside world. They need to compile all of their resources, all of their team, all of their effort together into creating one amazing smartphone to the best of their team's ability. Now, any of you can argue at whatever time that may have happened for iPhone or Samsung, or maybe it hasn't happened yet, but one company in particular is doing it now. That company is Nubia, and today they are releasing the Nubia Red Magic 5G. Over the past couple of weeks, I have had the Nubia Red Magic 5G. I have gotten to know the phone. I have used it extensively, and today I would like to provide you all a full review covering everything I can possibly think of on this phone. If there is anything that I left out, then comment down below and I will provide you with an answer, because I want you guys to know everything you could possibly know about this absolutely fantastic phone. At a little over $500, and the fact that this phone is the most powerful phone ever created, period, it's worthy to know exactly why this phone is so powerful and whether or not you should get it. So with all this being said, I really hope you all do enjoy this video. It would mean the world to me if you took just a second and left a like rating down below. I can make many more videos regarding the Nubia Red Magic 5G. All you need to do is let me know. I can make gaming tests for PUBG, Call of Duty, and a whole host of other games. Just let me know. There will be more information regarding the Nubia Red Magic 5G linked down below in the description, as well as the link that will take you to their page so you can actually buy this phone for yourself. Please watch this video in its entirety, because there may be some cons regarding this phone that you might be hesitant in purchasing the phone because of. I don't want you to waste any of your money, so after you watch this video, if the phone sounds good to you, then you can check it out linked down below in the description. Thank you guys, and let's get into this. To give a brief rundown of the phone, talking about some of the key aspects and the strongest points to the Nubia Red Magic 5G, this phone has a 144Hz 6.65-inch AMOLED esports display. It is the fastest display currently available on a smartphone today, even faster than phones like the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, the OnePlus 8 Pro, and even the Asus ROG Phone 2. This phone is 5G compatible, and it works with all US carriers and other major carriers around the world. So, for example, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, all of those are going to work perfectly fine with this phone. It has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset with LPDDR5 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of internal storage. It has two forms of cooling. It has liquid cooling, like is seen in several other gaming phones, as well as a built-in internal fan that will actually turn on and keep your phone cool, just like a computer would do if you're playing intense gaming sessions on your computer. It has a 4,500 milliamp hour battery with up to a 55-watt quick charge, very fast might I add. And then, of course, just like some of the other characteristic Nubia Red Magic phones, it has built-in shoulder trigger buttons where you can turn your phone essentially into a gaming console. Now that we got the introduction out of the way, let's go to the unboxing experience. So, I want to apologize if the quality is not the absolute best. I don't have the best unboxing setup as other YouTubers have, but hopefully it gets the gist across. I love the case, by the way. It is a very cool looking box, but look at that phone. Look at that shine. It stands out so well. And I don't think there are any phones out there that look even remotely like this thing. So, if you want something that looks pretty special, this is that. Now, you're going to end up having a plastic covering over the phone when you do unbox this, so keep that in mind. I already unboxed mine, so that's why I didn't have that. But you can peel it off. It's super satisfying when you do that. Alongside, you get the adapter, as I have right there. I have a reviewer's guide, so for whatever reason, I don't think they have a US plug for the reviewer's guide, but don't worry, you're going to get the proper USB-C cable and proper plug for whatever country you're from when you order this officially. And then last, you get a SIM card ejector, which I didn't show in this video for some reason, and then some paperwork. And that's it. It's a pretty simplistic unboxing, but it's a very, very cool phone. So since probably the display is the most characteristic feature of the phone, let's dive into that first. As I said, this phone has a 144 Hz display. It is the first mass-produced phone in the entire world with a display as fast as that. The display is a 6.65-inch AMOLED display, and I gotta say, compared to some of the other phones that I have tested in the past, I think it's quite possibly the brightest display I have ever seen in a phone, at least from the ones that I have tested. The phone has a 240 Hz touch sampling rate, which is by far and large way above any esports standards. That means when you press a button on a game, it is instantly going to give you feedback, and you're not going to have any lagginess when you're actually pressing buttons. So the second you actually want to shoot a gun, for example, it is instantly going to do that with that extremely high touch sampling rates. This phone has some of the best colors I have ever seen on a phone display. I mean, when I put this up alongside my iPhone, the iPhone looks washed out. It looks like it's at like half the saturation of this phone. I love bright, colorful displays, and this one does it perfectly. The iPhone does not, on the other hand. It has an in-display fingerprint sensor, which is probably not the very fastest in the entire world, but I think it is plenty fast enough so it doesn't annoy you at all when you're actually unlocking this phone. I like this more than Face ID. I like this probably more than some of their past phones where they have a fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone, and it's a little bit annoying to have to reach up and press the back to actually unlock it. I like how it's just an in-display fingerprint sensor, and it works very, very well. But we must move on, and let's talk about the 5G capability of this phone. This is the first Red Magic phone to have 5G capability, and it has both SA and NSA capability. The main difference is SA is much faster than NSA. It isn't very common in a lot of places, especially in the United States yet, but over the next couple of years that will change, and it's always nice to have a phone that's actually capable of 5G now, so you don't have to worry about upgrading later on. We have finally gotten to the point now where 5G phones aren't exorbitantly expensive, so I'd say it's the perfect time to get one. If you want to know how much faster 5G is than 4G, it has up to 3 gigabytes per second upload speed, up to 7.5 gigabytes per second download speed, and it has up to 38% faster Wi-Fi 6 dual support. Moving along, let's talk about the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset. It is the fastest chipset currently available in Android phones today, and it is unbelievably fast. It is so fast. I mean, you could be playing Fortnite, PUBG, Call of Duty, you name it. Any game will have no problem whatsoever when you are running this. I have never had one lag spike, never had one stutter within this phone. It has just pushed through for hours at a time and shown me that it's the true ultimate gaming phone. You know, when I say this phone has 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of internal storage, you might be inclined to say, well, there's a lot of other phones that have 12 gigs of RAM. But another key factor with this phone is it has LPDDR5 RAM, which is the latest generation in RAM, and it is 1.5 times faster than the previous versions of RAM, LPDDR4X. With this latest version of RAM, it's going to fully take advantage of that new 5G capability that this phone has, and you're going to be very impressed when you walk around in a city and you see just how fast this phone can upload, download, and do just regular everyday stuff, even gaming, on your phone. I think it's very important to mention the cooling capabilities of this phone, because if you are looking for a gaming phone, you can't have that thing overheat. I'm sorry, but my first true gaming phone was the Razer phone, the original one, and this thing overheats a ton. I'm sure a lot of people who have the original Razer phone can attest to that thing getting super hot, super quick. And I'm the type of person, when I actually play an intense game, especially battle royales like PUBG or Call of Duty, my hand sweats when I'm playing that game, and sometimes it sweats so much to the point where I actually will misclick on a button, and maybe my phone will start glitching out because it's kind of like water is getting on the screen, and you know how phones work when you get water on the screen. With this liquid cooling and the fan built inside of the phone, I don't have that problem. I have played PUBG plugged in on my phone for 5 hours straight, and my hands did not sweat. And if that is saying something, where normally when I would use the Razer phone, within 40 minutes, my hands would start to sweat, that is saying a lot. And you're looking at, compared to a phone like the Red Magic 3S, the earlier version that came before the Red Magic 5G, which already had a fan built within it itself as well, and this phone was fantastic at cooling itself down. This actually cools itself down twice as much, by 56%, than that phone. That's a lot. The turbo fan allows this phone to have 30% maximum air volume increased, and it has up to 15,000 RPM. Now, I'm going to show you guys a quick clip here of this fan, being obviously dramatized. It's not going to sound this loud, but I want to show you guys that the fan is the real deal, and it actually works, and it's there when you're using this phone. And I don't know what to tell you, dude. I mean, it's really freaking cool having a fan built inside of your phone. I don't think anybody can argue against that. But I want to take a second, and before we actually jump into the very specific gaming features of the phone, I want to look at the overall layout of how this phone presents itself, how it presents Android, and how you would be using this phone on a regular day-to-day basis without gaming. And when you actually look at the display, I think you can safely say that it looks very, very nice. It looks much better than many of the other Nubia phones in the past. I'd go as far to say that it looks much more similar to an iOS device's screen than a standard Android device's screen, especially a lot different from a Nubia device's screen. See, Nubia and Red Magic over the past couple of years have really been bashed a lot for having these weird skins put over Android and kind of detracting from that user-friendly experience that you might have with a more stock Android. And they did a very nice job improving what they had and making it a lot more user-friendly. I'm an iOS user. I'm not going to lie. This is my main phone. But if I were to switch right now, today, to the Nubia Red Magic 5G, I would be much better prepared and much more comfortable to make that switch, going through all of the different icons, learning how this phone works, than I would with some of the older versions of the Red Magic series. So if you're worried about a phone that doesn't look good when it presents Android, I don't think you're going to have that with the Nubia Red Magic 5G. The Nubia OS looks fantastic with this phone, and I'd say it's one of the better looking ones out of all of the Android phones that I have currently seen. But before we actually talk about the shoulder triggers and the very special gaming button on the side of the phone, I want to talk about the camera. Now, would you go as far to say that this phone has the very best camera quality out of all smartphones currently available? No, and that would be a pretty dumb statement to make. There are certainly phone companies out there that really specialize in making very high quality cameras. I mean, the iPhone is an example of that. And I wouldn't say that this phone has a better camera than the iPhone. But what I am going to say is Nubia does make pretty good cameras, and the video you are seeing right now is actually entirely recorded on a back camera of a Nubia phone. So if you didn't realize that it was a phone camera recording this back quality, then I would say that this is a pretty good camera to have on a phone. This phone has an 8-megapixel front-facing camera, which is pretty small, I have to admit, definitely not going to present you the very best quality in the entire world. And then it has a triple camera setup on the back of the phone. First off, it has a 64-megapixel main back camera, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide camera, and then lastly, a 2-megapixel macro camera. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first Red Magic phone to have night mode, so you're able to take much better quality photos at night, and I might as well actually show you guys some of what that camera looks like. In the background, you're seeing a variety of different shots that I've taken over the past day or so with the camera on the back of this phone, and I have to say, I am very impressed with the photo quality of this phone. I took a lot of shots indoors, outdoors, and even in low light settings, and I have to say, outdoor shots are really where this phone shines. Colors are great, brightness level is great. When you start to get down to the lower light settings, that's where things struggle a little bit, but Then again, that's really how it works with most phones out there. You try to take a low light shot with an iPhone, and chances are it's going to start to get a little bit more grainy than a bright outdoors shot. And most people would probably be taking more outdoor shots more often than not. And if you're one of those people, I think you're going to be very happy with the shots that you get. 64 megapixels, it is a great photo taking phone. Next up, let's actually cover the video quality of this phone. You might be a little surprised how video does compared to photos. We already saw photos are fantastic on this phone, but how do videos compare? I thought a great way to do this was to first show you guys the front-facing camera and the microphone quality that I am recording right now. This is the default settings that you get on the front-facing camera when you first open it up and you first test out video for the first time. I think it is very, very good. The colors are right, the brightness is good. I am standing directly in front of a window and it's not washing me out at all. I'd say it passes a very nice front-facing camera quality test. So I think a good way to actually test out the first of the two back camera tests that I wanted to show you all, the 1080p 60 FPS recording, I wanted to show just how smooth this phone actually has stabilization. I mean, it does a very good job. As you can see, I am clearly driving down the road recording with this phone, and it is a very, very smooth image. Is it necessarily the very best video quality in the entire world? No, but it does get the job done, and I would say it gets the job done pretty well. But as actually requested by Nubia, or recommended I should say, to do this outside, this phone has 8K capability. You're able to record in full 8K. I mean, I don't think there are many phones out there that do this, but it's still really, really cool. Of course, I think that's at 24 frames per second. As you can see, it's not nearly as smooth as the last video, but wow, 8K, man. This phone's capable of it. It has a camera-friendly mode, which I thought I might add. I mean, there are so many different selections of things that you can actually do on the camera within this phone. You have a trajectory option, which basically can capture the trajectory of some moving object. You have slow-mo, of course. You have macro. You have time-lapse. You have a pano. You have a 3D camera, which you can basically take a full 360-degree pano and then scroll around to see what you actually captured. You can use the clone setting to capture two different photos and then put one on top of the other to like clone some human being. And so much more. It's crazy how much this camera has to offer. But when you actually talk about some of the pros and some of the cons of the camera, I think the stabilization of video is definitely a very high pro. They've come a long way with the stabilization of their camera videos, and you saw from the video I showed just a couple minutes ago how good the stabilization can actually get when you're using 60 FPS on this phone. I would say that the videos and photos might be just a little oversaturated. Then again, I haven't actually imported them to a more normal looking display, like my computer, for example. This, as I said, has a very, very bright and colorful display, so it might just be showing videos as more saturated than they actually truly are. I have yet to actually edit them, so I don't know. It might look a lot better for you guys when you are watching this footage in the final video. But overall, yeah, when you zoom in, it's not the best, and I would say it's probably about an 8 out of 10 for overall camera quality. You know, you look at something like the iPhone 11 Pro Max, I think it's called, or the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. Yeah, those phones are going to have better cameras, but in many of the other different aspects, this phone will reign supreme. Moving along now to the shoulder buttons on the phone, or what they like to call the shoulder triggers. I mean, it makes sense. It's like you're turning your phone into essentially a controller where, you know, if you've ever held an Xbox or a PlayStation controller, you have one trigger being like the aim trigger and another one being the fire trigger, and you're sort of turning your phone into that. The triggers have a 300 hertz touch sampling rate, which is, I would go as far to say that that is much faster at response than even an Xbox or a PlayStation controller. I mean, you're getting an even faster response on the triggers than pressing a button on the actual phone display, and that is saying a ton. I mean, I would actually go as far to say that with these triggers, since they have a faster response rate, when you're gaming, you probably should use the triggers because they will give you a more immediate reaction than a button press on your display. It is down to a 2 millisecond touch delay, a microscopic amount. And the nice thing about these touch triggers is you can actually map them on various different parts of your display. So if you're playing PUBG, for example, you can map it to a firing button and an aiming button, for example, and then you have that much less of your fingers covering the display, so you're that much better at being able to actually spot out things around you. The whole idea is you want to have less of your fingers covering the screen. You know, a lot of people play with 2, 3, even 4 fingers, and if you can get that down to 2, you know, just your thumbs pressing some buttons here and there, and most of the time you're going to be actually using these triggers, that is that much more of the game that you can see and you can perform that much better. Now, do keep in mind, you know, I have reviewed several of these phones before, and I still have not gotten very good at the shoulder triggers, so it does take some time to get used to. You're not going to instantly be just as good using the shoulder triggers as you would with the standard touchscreen, but maybe you're somebody who plays on a console on a regular basis, you might be better than you think with those shoulder triggers. They have something that they call immersive audio and 4D shock. 4D shock is realistic, accurate force feedback. So say you're playing a game and you get shot, it's going to vibrate in the appropriate way to make it feel the most realistic to if you were actually inside of the video game. It has dual stereo surround speakers, which are fantastic, and they have 7.1 channel DTS-X surround sound. The phone has very, very nice speakers, and whenever I'm playing a game, I would go as far to say that I might not even need to use the headphone jack to plug in earphones. I can actually play at a pretty high volume and then hear the surround sound and know where people are when I'm playing in a video game. Now, I would always recommend using headphones, but if you're watching this and you don't have headphones, you can actually still play very well using just the stereo speakers because they give that effect of almost as if you're using real headphones. And might I add, oh my God, these speakers are so loud, okay? I play this phone at half volume and I jump a little bit. I get scared because it's so freaking loud. I've never even played this thing at full volume, so this thing is one of the louder speakers I have ever seen on a phone. It's just crazy, man. But we have to talk about GameSpace 2.1. This is the Red Magic signature gaming system built within this phone. And let me tell you, it is very, very cool. On the side of your phone, you have a special red sliding button. When you're on your phone, you can slide this button and it puts you into gaming mode. It has this cool little logo that appears, and then it gives you this little display, this slide screen showing the various different games you have added to GameSpace 2.1. There are various other things that you can turn on, like a fan, for example. You can turn on the RGB on the back to make your phone stand out. Yes, this phone does have RGB, and I think it's much more tasteful than some of the other models of the Red Magic phones of the past. You can have a whole host of different customization color options for the RGB, and then not only that, you can actually disable all calls, disable all notifications, and then you can turn your phone to have all of its processing power solely on the one game that you launch in GameSpace 2.1. So you turn that slide switch, you turn on GameSpace 2.1, you click on Call of Duty Mobile, it disables all calls, all messages, all notifications, turns the phone on, turns the RGB on, and it focuses 100% of the phone power on that game alone. No other apps are going to be doing any background data at that point in time. You're going to solely focus all of the phone's power on one single game. With GameSpace 2.1, you are able to record your phone screen. So if you are a content creator, you're in luck. This thing can actually record internal audio. Now, I am a little bummed out. It can only record up to 720p resolution when you're actually recording the screen itself. If you do want to record 1080p, you're going to still have to download some other screen recorder from the Google Play Store, and then it's not going to be able to record internal audio. But if you want to sacrifice a little bit of quality to get 780p footage, you are able to record internal audio on this phone. And I think that is a hugely important thing when you are making YouTube or Twitch content. From GameSpace 2.1, you are able to do a whole host of different things. You're able to control your shoulder triggers. You are able to hook up a controller. And here's the most important part. When you hook up a controller and then you put this phone into the docking station, you're able to hook that up to Ethernet and then play on a much more stable connection. It's almost as if you're playing on a console. You can rest this thing in the docking station, have it sitting on your desk, and then switch to using a controller while you have your phone sitting right there. And on top of everything else, as if it could not get any better, we got to talk about the battery and the charging capabilities of this phone. Now, this phone has a 4,500 milliamp hour battery. It is a very big battery, one of the biggest batteries, not the very biggest. Okay, there are phones out there that have bigger batteries, but this phone has a 55 watt quick charging capability. And that basically means from 0 to 100%, you're looking at about 30 to 40 minutes. That's it, okay? You could be playing for 6-7 hours at a time, intense PUBG gameplay, and then put your phone on the charger, 30 minutes, go get some dinner. By the time you're finished eating, it's already ready to go back at 100%. It is that quick at charging up the phone, and I think that is definitely something worthy of mentioning. I feel Red Magic explains it best, telling you exactly how you can test out all of these very cool features within the phone. If you want 4D vibration experience, you're going to be testing out games like Asphalt 9 Legends, PUBG, or Knives Out. If you want to see that true 144 Hz refresh rate, you should be testing out Real Racing 3, Arena of Valor, and PUBG once again. The shoulder triggers are great for shooting games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, PUBG. And then with all games, you should be testing out that turbofan and then GameSpace 2.1. The phone's resolution is 1080 by 2340 or 387.5 pixels per square inch. It has an aspect ratio of 19.5 by 9. It has 2.5D Corning Gorilla Glass, so a pretty standard glass display. And that display has a capability of up to 600 nits of brightness. That is a very, very bright phone. To talk about the overall layout of the phone, I think it is a very well laid out phone. I love the fact that it has an in-display fingerprint sensor. I like the buttons. When you press them, they feel very high quality. They have a nice feedback when you're pressing either the power button or the volume buttons or anything else. This phone actually has designated air vents for when that fan is turned on. And then most importantly, it has a headphone jack. I mean, so many phones nowadays don't have headphone jacks, and I'm pretty sure most people want a headphone jack. Well, guess what? This one has a headphone jack. So if you still are rocking regular headphones, you can still plug them in to the Nubia Red Magic 5G. And at the very end of it all, you have 3 different versions of this phone that you can purchase right now, since it is April 21st and it is the release dates for this phone. You have the maxed out Pulse version, as they call it, which has 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of internal storage. You have their Hot Rod Red version, which has 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of internal storage. And their Eclipse Black version, which also has 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of internal storage. Now, looking at all of that, you may be assuming this phone is, what, $800? $1,000? I feel like that would be pretty realistic, right? Considering the specs that were given. No, it's not. This phone is a little over $500. You're getting a phone with flagship capabilities at half the price, even sometimes up to a third of the price of some of the other phones out there that are very comparable to this, like the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. When I said this phone was the most powerful gaming phone and powerful phone, period, ever created at the beginning of this video, I wasn't lying. This phone scored an Antutu benchmark rating of 633,724. This is basically a test of all very intense operations. They'll go from PUBG to Call of Duty to Instagram, do tons of different tests to see if this phone will choke up at any point. And even up against phones like the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, which is currently the very fastest phone and the highest scoring Antutu benchmark phone, that phone has only a 562,262 score. You're looking at a phone with a 70,000 point higher score than the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra in the Antutu benchmark rating, and this puts it by far and large better than all Android and, might I add, all iOS phones to date. The fastest iPhone currently has only a score of 537,154. So for the very first phone to break 600,000 in that Antutu benchmark rating, and you're getting this phone for a little over $500, I think the choice is pretty clear. If you like a fast phone, you're not going to get something that's better. The only area where you will find phones that are better is in the camera. So if you are somebody who really, truly cares about the camera or the video quality more than anything, you might want to stay away from the Nubia Red Magic 5G. But as you saw from my video, that is perfectly suitable for many other people around the world, and somebody that's looking for a good gaming phone or just a fast phone in general that beats everything else and is still almost 1/3 the price of phones like the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, you definitely want to consider getting the Nubia Red Magic 5G. So with that being said, that concludes our review on the Nubia Red Magic 5G. If you want to get this phone, if you have watched through this entire video and you thought, you know what, that's the phone for me, I'll have information linked down below in the description where you can get this phone for yourself. It is April 21st. It is the release date of this phone, so why not get the Nubia Red Magic 5G? Show it off to your friends once quarantine is over and have one of the fastest phones ever created. I hope you all did enjoy this video. If you did, I would greatly appreciate a like rating down below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you guys would like to see more phone reviews coming out in the near future. If I can afford any other devices coming out relatively soon. I'm not made of money like many of these other people who make phone review stuff, so it's not that often that I'm able to make these types of reviews, but when I do, I hope you guys are going to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on them. Stay safe, everyone. I wish you all the best of luck with your gaming experiences, especially if you get the Nubia Red Magic 5G, and I will see you all later. Thank you very much for watching.